they don't care about the boys. They care about winning elections. That's what they care about. And there was a very interesting discussion by Ezra Klein of the New York Times and his guest on the gender divide and why Trump won the last election. Listen here.
This chart in some ways convinced me to do this podcast.
Oh, thank you.
This chart shocks me. I
agree. This is, to me, the scariest chart in this entire presentation. And again, something I'm very surprised by. And so what you can see is that, for voters over 30, the gender gap was fairly stable at around 10%, which is roughly where it's been in American politics.
And voters over 75, it's even lower.
But what's crazy is if you look at people who are under the age of 30, the gender gap has exploded. If you look at 18-year-olds, 18-year-old men were 23 percentage points more likely to support, Donald Trump than 18-year-old women, which is just completely unprecedented in American politics.
Is that abortion?
I think it's too early to say exactly what the cause is.
Of course.
What's interesting is that this is happening in other countries as well.
There is a sense the Democratic Party is becoming much more pro-women party, and in some ways sort of anti-young men, and that just had a huge effect on young men's political opinions.
Of course. His guest there, David Shore, that's where his mind goes on being shown these numbers of the gender gap and why young men overwhelmingly are moving to the Republican Party. It's abortion. That is their number one issue on the left. It must define everything, as opposed to taking a hard look at what their side has been doing to young men for, yes, decades, but the peak over the past 10 years has just driven these young men to extreme measures. I mean, some are suicidal. The deaths of despair have gone up to tens of thousands per year. Scott Galloway, who's writing a book on this, he said we've lost more young men to deaths of despair, some 400,000 over the past few years, than we lost in one of the world wars. But it's all about abortion in the mind of the left. That's how we have to fix it somehow.